Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about the latest crowdfunding project that Rocket Pig Games has been wrapping up on My Mini Factory for their new Death Haven line of resin-focused miniatures. Now, obviously, these are not any of those models because these are all older figures that I've already painted. Now, the idea behind Rocket Pig Games was that you could get all this stuff printed without a loss of detail on an FDM printer. That's what this guy was done on. He's actually a big, huge multi-part piece that was done with the PLA filament stuff. The rest of these guys were actually all done in resin, and as you can see, this is just a sampling of stuff that I had handy that we've already painted. And one of the nice things about a lot of their earlier models was everything was mostly single piece, and the bigger kits that were multi-part, you know, they were all supportless. You didn't need to worry about any of that. Everything was just good to go. So we've got quite a variety here. And I actually didn't want to focus on them today. I mean, they're obviously fun models. And I will be putting a link down below to their My Mini Factory page, as well as their website, so you can take a look at this. But I really enjoyed their Tusklands models. Their orcs were like the borderline between comedic, cutesy, and, you know, traditionally monstrous. And the add-ons and stretch goals that they released for that line were quite interesting and exciting, and I've painted and printed quite a few as well. Slide some of this other stuff out of the way, because I actually wanted to focus on those new Death Haven models, as well as some of the other random. Like I said, I really enjoyed printing and painting a lot of the models from that Tusklands Kickstarter campaign. Bugbear here. Slowly but surely, we will get all of these painted as well. Never fear. So like I said, I really enjoyed that campaign. There was a lot of fun stuff there, and I was digging what they've got coming with this new Death Haven line even more. So obviously, these were all done in resin, like I said, but this new set of figures is going to be exclusively, specifically for resin, mostly due to the supports that are going to be necessary and needed. So I wanted to focus on their first main guy. Now, I haven't had a chance to prime anything yet. This was their Hexer model. And I gotta say, let me be honest, I was not super impressed with the core offering of the campaign when I first saw them. Not to discount the quality of the sculpts, it just, they were very normal, run-of-the-mill models. But then after printing them, I was pretty surprised and impressed. I actually really enjoyed them. At least for the Hexer, very Witcher-inspired. Now, these guys are quite large, so be aware of that. I know Rocket Pigs has suggested that if you want them more in traditional scale, that you might want to consider printing them at about 85% size. So just a suggestion there. Let's see if I can get our Hexer on a 20mm base. Well, it works. So, something to keep in mind there. And there are a couple different versions of the Hexer, as well as some henchmen to hang out with him in like a, you can see here. I printed these out at 100%. We'll get a couple other humans in there in just a moment. So size-wise, I think they rack up pretty well. I'm not going to bother. Excuse me. I'm not going to bother adjusting the height. I think for where they are currently, it works great for me. Now, obviously, everybody else out there might have differing opinions on that, and you are welcome to that. So that's like the generic regular guy, the Hexer there, but that wasn't what really interested me of the core set. What really got my attention were their Plague Doctors. And I gotta say, these guys had a whole lot of character. And yes, I know I can clean them better, as some of you are very wont to remind me. But the detail is definitely there. I would suggest be very careful, obviously removing these from the supports. I had a really tough time with some of the parts. Some things did require re-gluing. He is a little bit taller, but then again, he is carrying a coffin on his back, so something to be aware of there. Funny enough, I think I ended up printing just about all of the Plague Doctors already. I really dug them. This one was probably my favorite. Top hat, chemical weapons, cabinet of curiosities. I think once I get these guys all primed up, they're going to be really fun to paint. Again, just be very careful. Now, this guy, I'll admit, I had some issues printing him the first time, and I'm still not 100% sure what I can do to get things perfect every single time. That's something that I'm going to have to fiddle with myself. The pre-supports obviously work because I got them, well, on the table here, for the most part. I did try printing one of their Apothecarists, and I was having a hard time getting the hose that's supposed to attach to whatever this chemical weapon is he's blasting there. Was supposed to plug into his backpack, but that didn't work. Otherwise, I mean, sculpt looks good. Everything came out okay, other than that. And, you know, there are a few hiccups every now and then. I think it'll work all right without that. Speaking of things that are going to work all right, as I've mentioned many times on this channel, if I can get something printed to about 90% all right, I'm just going to go ahead and roll with it. This guy's actually supposed to have a curved sickle. I snapped that off. That one's on me. And whoa. Yeah, those are fingers. I don't know if those are, yeah, it's his finger. And the trigger, I was like, was that a support I missed? But you can see these Plague Doctors just are very laden down with all kinds of fun goodies. And I think from a painting perspective, they're going to be a lot of fun to really mess around with. Just all the colors of the various chemicals, poisons, vials that they're carrying. Going to be fun there. And what would the good guys be without bad guys to fight them, right? Did I just break that? Crap. Well, so here's one of the core set monsters. These are the Devil Dogs, I believe they were called. And there were at least 4 or 5 poses. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there were quite a few. I just got one done, but you can see he's going to be quite a biggie. And the nice thing about a lot of these models, I thought, was that, you know, they were going to work great for typical tabletop RPG type encounters. And one of the nice things about all of the campaigns that Rocket Pig has done have always included rules for the models that they've made. So there will be a PDF supplement that's going to have background lore, all that jazz, fun things like that. Some of their ghouls, of which we had quite a few poses. I like the fact that they're actually walking upright, unlike the GW ones, which I've always been kind of irritated about. Let's see if I can get them on a base here. Now, unfortunately, the really fun stuff for this campaign is kind of tied into the add-ons, and I think that's going to be where you see all the really crazy fun stuff. I love when Rocket Pig Games makes the big, giant, nutsy monstrosities that, you know, take up days upon days to finish printing. And we've got some giants and mammoths and fun stuff like that in the add-on, so it's worth checking out. And considering how much I've ended up spending over time on their files, to me it just made more sense just to go ahead and get started on this one early while I had a chance. This is one of their Paladins. I think he's very Papal-like uniform here. It's a big hammer. I'll grab some other humans. Where's these kids guy? So honestly, I don't know. I know they mentioned, you know, shrinking them down, but I don't really see a need to. Do you guys? I think they're going to fit in just right with just about everything on the market there. I mean, these are the main ones. GW, WizKids, Reaper. Got a Perry guy here. Or Wargames Atlantic. I mean, obviously, if they're supposed to be heroes, I'll give them a little leeway. They can be a little bit larger. But I don't see any drastic, you know, like Conquest style where, you know, there's a huge discrepancy in the size. Grabbing a modern GW human. Yeah, I mean, I think as is, I think they're going to work just fine. So again, these are just things that are from the actual core set. We haven't seen any of the later add-ons or stretch goals get released yet. Now, one of the baddies that we did have, that I did manage to get printed okay, is their Nocturnes, which were these ancient giant vampire-like monsters. I've tried printing a couple of them, and for whatever reason, see, they're big. I could not get them to print. Now, probably part of the problem, I think, was that the film on the bottom of my vat needed to be changed. And I don't know if things are just sticking. Once I'm done printing junk for family members, I'm going to give a try and see what happens when I attempt to print some of these up again. I was starting to build one of their multi-part kits. They had an Elder Nocturne, which is going to be a big giant. Like I said, I have to finish him. I forgot to. Like, I've been printing tanks and various funky stuff for Sparkle Trout, so hopefully he will have his stuff finished and I can get back to work on my goodies. But honestly, I think there's a lot of interesting variety in terms of what they're offering up here. This is just barely touching the tip of the campaign, and if you start getting into the add-ons and stuff, there's even more there. Unfortunately, some of their older models, especially in their Tusklands campaign, the orcs from that set were quite large. These guys would probably need to be shrunk down a little bit, but for the stuff from Deathhaven, I mean, everything really seems to fit nicely with, you know, what's on the market. I think just even grabbing other, again, in terms of human-sized models, what else we got laying around here? Privateer. Okay, well, Warlord maybe doesn't count. That's going more towards historical anyway. Those are all dwarves around me. A Gamic Barbarian. So again, I think in terms of what they've got on offer, what is going to be compatible with other figures in people's collections, I think this is a big win-win. Everything is pre-supported. I know they're still tweaking those, so if you're having issues, if you try printing this, one of the nice things is since this campaign is coming to an end, most of the core set models have already been released, so basically you can get a hold of these as soon as you pledge if you're interested. We will have that link down below, besides the actual Rocket Pig Games website. So if you're interested, take a look. Hopefully something there strikes your fancy, because I know it certainly hit mine. With that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.